Nope.
Turn on your microphone. Is it? Tony, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. Can you hear me?
You can't hear him.
Microphone on.
Yeah.
Check your microphone, Tony.
Yeah, it should be on. Do you hear me?
Isn't this supposed to be YouTube? Who? Oh, you get this or no? Yeah, they all got one in their packet. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
No, just us or the members. Okay,
Maybe it's worth giving him a call.
what do you need?
He can also type because you can see the comments on the right.
Yeah,
I know.
I know. Okay, are we ready? Shall we get started?
I kind of want to read this. At the end of it. Please.
Okay.
I know, I tried. Well, he can see us, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Go up
can
and
see
say,
you.
call us.
Can you hear me at all?
Hey, Tony, nod your head if you can hear us at least.
Yeah, I can hear
Okay.
you. You're not hearing me.
You need to unmute on your end.
Yeah, it's not muted. Hello, can you hear me? All right. Yeah, I'm not muted, so I don't know if it's something on your end. Let me call. What?
Is this volume up?
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, his light speakers are? Hello.
Yeah, I'm not muted, so I don't know if it's something on your end.
Okay, do you want me to put him on speaker and we'll just?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna put you on speaker. We can see you.
It could be the
And then we'll
TV.
just-
Okay.
Okay, all right. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Loud enough?
Can you guys hear?
Technology.
Can you hear? Say
Can
something.
you hear us?
Say something.
I can hear you fine. Yeah, yeah, I hear you fine.
Well,
Hear you as well. All right, we can
What-
hear you
what
as
was
well.
that? Oh, okay, good. Through the computer or through her phone?
computer.
Okay, good.
Okay,
I guess.
Okay. We have, excuse me, a variance request here from Mr. Castronova at Pickerel Point. Joe, would you please kind of go over this with me and is the building that was 2 stories before still there?
Yes,
Okay. So this is a request, number 1, to change that building?
no, well, yes,
From the 2-story to the 1-story.
correct.
Okay.
But he's asking for an area variance because he's over the 30%.
Okay,
So we're using court decision as a reason to proceed. And then we went to the town board and the town board gave approval to be able to see Mr. Castronova's application,
again, another application. This,
this current
yes, the
application.
new one.
Yes,
Okay, so now my understanding is that you're not to have more than 30% lot coverage.
that's correct.
That's correct. And this is 32%?
It's 31% more accurately. We were advised by our lawyer that it right now we have to see the case as we would have with prior cases because of case law, I guess.
Okay,
But moving forward, we actually have to look at gravel and driveways also as a percentage of coverage.
okay,
That's why I said 31%.
okay.
Because if you look at the actual map that was provided,
Okay,
they figured I believe it was over 31%. It was 35 or whatnot
okay, so that's,
as far as the lot coverage, but we're actually gonna see it as 31%.
all right, so that's inclusive of all of the foundation, driveway, gravel, what have you, plus the building.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Is that with the garage or before the garage?
That's with the
With
garage.
the garage, thank you.
Yes.
With the existing garage or with the garage that they are proposing?
The garage they're proposing is the same footprint.
Okay,
Um, the plans that I received show just a height reduction.
all right. So from what I'm getting from this is that essentially everything will stay the same except the roof, the 2nd story will be taken off.
Correct.
For the purpose of this application, are we treating it as a pre-existing building?
No, well, that is a good question. I'm not sure I know the exact.
I'm sorry, what was your pre-existing one?
It's
For the
pre-existing
purpose of
building.
this application, are we treating the garage as a pre-existing building or new construction?
It's never received a CMC.
So technically it would be a new construction.
Yeah, I don't think we could call it pre-existing.
No, and this is actually, we're using the over lot coverage variance as a negotiating tool to bring it down, bring the height down to what we want.
Does the revised bring the roof line down within the accepted terms of the code?
Yes, it does.
So with the revised roof line, it would be according to code, except for the actual
Lot cover?
Lot,
yeah, the lot and stuff like that.
Right.
So all we're looking at now is essentially the height of the building. I mean, everything
Well,
else is gonna
no.
stay the same, except that's gonna have to come down.
The variance is for a 2.57% variance on lot coverage.
yes,
And that's all the variance is.
Right, but in order to satisfy the court decision, we have to also make a decision on the the height of the building. So even though we're figuring out the variance as far as lot coverage,
Right.
you have to tell him the height of the building
Mhm.
and how he proposed something. So he gave you guys a proposal,
14 foot.
14 foot.
correct? Which is actually one size smaller than I had requested to Anthony. So as far as the pitch of the roof. So he's bringing it, I suggested 412 and he turned in plans for a 312 pitch.
Okay,
So the structure will remain,
the structure will remain, but
the roof will be lowered.
Right.
the
Yeah.
second story will be taken down.
Correct, and there's no possibility that truss system can be used as any kind of living space ever.
It was never intended to be living space, it was just supposed to be storage.
Okay,
Right.
so then other than, I'm just trying to get this all.
Yes.
In order here. So other than the fact that there's essentially 1% more coverage, lot coverage than our present laws allow
Correct.
for this district, for the Lakes District, okay? And the fact that it was a second story. So in other words, we will be dealing essentially with the size of the, the lot coverage.
I have had some questions on where Sheila got her numbers in the letter to us.
Okay,
At one point, she says, he's asking for a 32% increase in permitted lot coverage. At first glance, it appears he is asking for 9.5, but you must compute 731 square feet. Increase in coverage as a percentage of the permitted coverage, which those numbers agree with each other. Where did she get the 9.5 from?
If you look at, I'm not sure, but her numbers were coming from the survey map. If you look at the survey map, the surveyor actually went through and did a detail of the lot coverage per each building, slash, retaining wall, driveway, whatever. In the upper left-hand corner,
okay, the breakdown for the, excuse me, yeah,
yes,
lot coverage calculation.
Okay, so based on the survey here, the application draw.
what do you mean?
Well, the survey says total lot coverage after the
Yes.
garage to be 39.5%.
Yes, but when I sat down and had a meeting with Sheila,
Okay.
Chris and Ed, and we're not gonna use the 39.5% at this point. We're subtracting the gravel driveway.
Okay, and that brings it back down to 32.57.
Yes.
Okay, so the gravel driveway is the only thing coming off that?
And the
Walkway.
walkway, yep.
Yep.
This survey was done since the first application, correct?
No,
This is-
no,
was This,
Yes, we had that done after the court decision before we put in our
okay,
our request for the.
yes,
Yeah.
So that we just did that. a
And
few months
26, 23.
pardon me,
And 26, 23.
okay. Well, good, I'm glad to see this because I think this is probably something that should be included. Telling exactly where everything is and what everything is. So,
Okay, that
in
makes
the
sense to me.
essence of
okay,
I just wanted to see where that number came from.
keeping everything the same and easier to understand. is that a requirement now? Do we require a current survey or a survey of a parcel when someone wants to make a change?
The town does not, but as I understand it, and talking with the Department of State, I'm the authority having jurisdiction, so whatever I need in the application
Yes,
is what they have to turn in. So going forward, I am
okay,
gonna start requesting survey.
yeah,
plans.
okay, good. I would suggest that. I think that's save everybody a whole lot of heartache
Yeah,
down the line and time.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we, are we, three of us,
well, can I just say something real quick?
sure.
Yeah,
by all
and
means.
we gotta let either Mr. Castanova or anybody in the audience ask questions or talk before we make a decision, right?
Well, I just wanted to go over and say that, decide that the application is complete, which,
We have
Okay.
two parts. We can.
We've got
move
to do two
accept the
parts, so,
Application before we move.
that's all I have to take care of now, and then I will hear from the owners.
Okay.
They have additional, and you too. Okay. Got any, shall we deem that the application is complete, and then we can proceed?
Yes.
Or is there a
Yes.
question, Carol?
I have a question based on our criteria, just to make sure with the reduction of the height, that it is now more consistent with the neighborhood in the area and not precluding any visual of the lake, which is part of what
That's
we need to
correct.
consider. Not part of the application specifically, but it does need to be factored in the adjustments that your plan is making. Thank you.
Okay, but other, yeah,
That's
all right,
fine.
that's, we will definitely address that. At this time, though, what we do have here, are
The
we,
application
and-
appears to
all right,
provide.
so,
I move to accept the application.
I second.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now. Mr. Castronova, did you want to speak, please? Or,
Yes, actually, I would like to speak. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know how familiar you are with this. I mean, it's been going on for 2 years now. So, were you in attendance to all the meetings that took place?
I would say 95% of them.
Okay. So I pretty much did not say much during this whole thing. I let the lawyer do the talking, which was probably a big mistake because I don't think he did a very good job. But I do want to say some things because I think they need to be said. Like I said, it's been almost 2 years now that I have this building sitting on my property that I haven't been able to finish and use. And I had thought I did everything right from day one. I deliberately brought my application and all the necessary documentation to the code enforcement office so that I could have someone review it with me and determine if everything was in order. And Richard Jokey was that person. He looked it over, said everything looked okay. Steve Smith obviously must have agreed because he gave me the building permit. And neither one of them ever raised any questions or concerns about the building's height or anything related to this project. And they watched it go up. They did inspections. The building was 95% done when I was blindsided with this stop work order. And what led up to that was really what was most disturbing because I was never informed there had been a complaint. I was never informed that there would be a zoning board meeting held to discuss it. And based on misinformation and misguided speculation as to my intent, this board issued the stop work order in order to remedy, which they had to repeal because it was illegal. And I wasn't given a chance to explain or defend myself. I've been a member of this community for over 50 years, and I just couldn't believe how my legal rights were so easily disregarded. so, I had to hire a lawyer. Anybody else in my situation would have done the same thing. I thought the town should be held accountable for its actions. I thought I would get some justice. Sadly, it didn't happen for me. In the end, the better attorney won. That's what it comes down to. And, it's a bitter pill to swallow for me because it's forced me to delay my retirement. It's going to impose another financial burden on Diane and I. Um, and, the worst of it has not been that. The worst of it has been the countless sleepless nights, the stress, the anxiety this has caused me and my family at a time when I'm battling cancer and I'm trying to stay positive and hopeful about an uncertain future. And the timing couldn't have been worse. So, I think at the very least, I deserve this variance. Uh, I've done everything, complied with everything this board has asked me to do. I paid for a survey. I submitted a new building permit reflecting the changes originally mandated by the board in its order to remedy. It's not the building I'd hoped for. I really needed this extra storage space. I have so much stuff. I've rented 2 storage garages for the last 7 years because I have no place to put anything. And I don't think it's fair that the town excluded itself from any financial obligation. Uh, but I've accepted the court ruling, and what else can I do? So that's all I have to say, unless you have further questions for me.
Thank you. And please, I convey my sympathy to you. I understand what it is to fight the C word, and I'm hoping that you're doing better and will be doing better and will conquer it.
So far, so
Good. Been there, unfortunately. Okay. Do we have any other,
Did my wife give you the letters from my neighbors on either side of me?
Ryan made those.
okay, we'll get them.
I think it should be.
Thank you. Yeah, let's check that. Sure. Okay. Thank you for those. Oh, thank you. All right. I appreciate the gesture. It's nice that the neighbors will. Okay, do any other comments from anybody in the, yes, Chris, is that you, Christy?
Yes.
Okay,
We'd like to provide some pictures, and as you all know, I recently purchased the property from Mr. Nova. And as we real estate firm, finances have gone into this real estate as well. You'll see that this structure imposes a huge negative effect on my property value as well. Not only is it the view that is being obstructed, even with taking the top layer off, it's still going to negatively impact my property. As you can kind of see, it really, I've even contacted my realtor, who has told me that basically, even with top layer off, it's going to be a negative impact on my property value, and I'm not going to be able to recoup that. We'd like to see those come out as well, if you wouldn't mind.
So is this is you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And like Tony had mentioned, this past 2 years has also been very stressful on not only himself and the rest of families that are involved, but also myself. It's been extremely stressful. And so I'd just like to really kind of take that in as far as the variant. The pictures will also show that there's neighbors next to it that has 7 feet sidewalls, not 10 and open to 15. It is a 7-foot sidewall with 11-foot pitch. If, you know, going with approving this variance, which then will still negatively affect my property value, at least that would be coincide with neighbors that have a garage in that area.
Okay.
But
So I would like to speak. So in the original meeting that we were not included in, Chris Singer spoke right out and said, we have never had a problem with the first story of this building. That was in the meeting minutes that were held here without us. And if you can look at,
That's all right.
if you look at this picture, this is our house. She's never had a view of the lake through our house. We had a large pine tree and then our home.
Okay.
The garage is no farther over. It's still. If our walkway that you can see here, the
Okay.
garage starts way over here. So even if you take that down, she never had a view of the lake through our house. This is our house and this is the trees behind our house. And even now, the garage doesn't, I mean, I see, we have no problem taking that story down. But our garage doesn't start until over here. So clearly, even if we took it down, or even if we took this first story down, she's still gonna see the top of
There's gonna
our
be
house.
some-
There was never a view. And that's a picture, right, that she has in her.
Right, but what I'm looking at is this one also that
Right,
shows
that's gonna be
those.
gone.
Okay,
That whole thing, that
Okay.
whole top story is gonna be gone.
okay.
And like he said, we even brought it down another floor over that. But
Okay,
even if we do that, it's still gonna see the roof of our house, because our second story of our house is.
well,
And we removed a pine tree, which she also couldn't see. So that's not true. That is not true.
What's the sidewall height to the bottom of the eave on the building as it stands right now?
10 foot.
So that's not changing.
Well, it's not changing as of yet. I mean,
I mean, and as of these current plans in the application that we accepted,
the current application is a
The-
10-foot wall.
the upper wrap is not moving.
Correct.
That the rafters or trusses sit on,
It would, right, it would be taking the gambrel,
trusses off.
Trusses off
adding
and putting a
312
312.
Trusses.
One more thing, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
so my next door neighbor, Jim and Marilyn, they have a garage and it's exactly the same height, the wall that I put up. I only made it level with the, you know, the front of the driveway. I can't build a garage on an unlevel lot. It's not possible. I just made it to the exact minimum height it needed to be to build the garage and make it level. And it's exactly like my neighbors. The height is exactly the same as far as the retaining. And
And
you
also,
can go check that yourself. You can measure it. It's not, I don't know what you just said as far as feet, but it's nowhere near 10 feet tall. That's ridiculous. Go
the
measure.
neighbor's garage is actually in that picture as well. And
okay, the
also,
top, all right.
yeah, also the, our height of the garage actually was within the code. It's just the obstruction of the view that was the issue. But our height actually was within the code,
With the second story?
correct? But it's the obstruction to the view that violates the code. From what we've been told, because we had to raise the land up, that's what made the issue. But we actually were within the height, but that's a moot point, because we have to take the second floor off anyway. And you can clearly see if we do that and put the pitch that you're proposing, she's gonna, her view of the lake doesn't change. Because she never
Yeah,
had one.
Wait a
Our
second,
garage.
question. Point, I'd like to refocus us. The variance and the application we just accepted is for lot coverage.
Correct.
We're not-
However, you need to do stipulations on it.
Right, there has to be stipulations. To,
In time frame.
because the town board approved them. Turning the application in, allowing us to see the application. But there has to be stipulations on the variance.
In those
But the
stipulations.
stipulations are only if it gets approved.
Right, so if we were to approve the variance, we have to also say. The height of the building is approved or not approved, as in these plans.
Correct.
Okay.
Or you can give stipulations
change
and
it,
then
yeah.
they would have to, alter the.
Yep.
Whatever the stipulations are.
I think if we have to remove this whole building, when we built it with a permit from this board. That is thousands and thousands of dollars that we have spent. And it does not change the fact that she's still gonna be looking in the second story of our home.
Okay,
It has been 2 years of this.
okay. Thank you for your input. Any other,
Do you have any questions on any of the pictures?
okay,
It's just, the sidewalls on my garage right next to hers, which in one of the pictures you can see. One of her second story windows goes about halfway to her windows.
okay,
Total height of mine is 11 foot with 7 foot sidewalls,
okay,
you know, so 14 foot is still gonna come up a ways. It's got 10 foot sidewalls on it. The door is at 8 foot. You know, if the pitch started above the door, that would bring it down and more, and if you look what Jim's garage looks like, what my garage looks like, what most of the other ones look like. You know, it still towers above them, even with taking it off.
okay,
When this first started, Diane's absolutely right. We agreed, take that second story off. It should have never gotten approved without going to the planning board for site plan review because of the square footage to begin with, which would have taken into consideration. What keeps being mentioned is the view of the lake. It's not the view of the lake, it's the view in general. You know, much better to look at trees in the other side of the valley than it is to be looking at the backside of a barn.
true.
Like, everyone on our street has a garage. Are we not entitled to a garage?
Not saying you can't have a
Well,
garage.
you are saying that.
No, I'm
because-
not.
Yeah, you are.
I'm not saying you can't have a garage. It needs to be similar to what's going on down on our end of the road.
So-
And height wise, and it is not. And I think all of you have been down there and seen it.
Yeah, this
Right.
garage does not need height wise. If you can clearly see in that picture, if we take that second floor off, it's going to be fine. She's gonna be looking in at my second floor bathroom. With it, the way that it is now, if we have to tear down this whole garage, the financial burdens, first of all, we've already paid for it. We've already paid thousands and thousands of dollars because of this permit.
Can I ask a question? We're not actually talking about tearing the whole thing down at this point. What do you need the 10-foot walls for? Is there something you're trying to achieve with that extra 2 foot of height?
We're already losing all the storage on the second floor. So the more storage we can have, the better.
Okay,
Not to mention, if we have to alter more of the building, it's gonna be more financial burden because they're not just, the walls are one piece. How are you gonna alter that without there being more financial burden?
okay. That was my question.
In addition to what we've already paid for this building as well, plus attorney's fees, paid for storage units.
Well, I also want to point out that the plans that they submitted were actually lower than what you had suggested.
Right.
So I think that that needs to be recognized, and I think that it's getting a little emotional, and I think we just have to stick with the facts and focusing on the fact that the variance seems to have been approved, which is great. And then focus on the new plan of the building, which is well within the aesthetic of the entire Lake Road. If you actually go down there, there's lots taller garages.
Okay, I have to correct you though, no variance has been approved.
Okay, well, I guess I'm
The
saying,
application.
it seems as though the
Right, it's-
variance for the 2% is in favor.
We haven't voted. on
What
that.
we have to, with this, and
Okay.
it's sometimes a very confusing
process.
way of doing things. However,
Okay.
we have to go through, make sure the application is complete.
Okay,
Everything
say that
is
then,
filled
and
out.
avoid
So we
saying
have to.
That's where it gets.
Exactly, okay,
So
so
we have accepted the application.
Wonderful.
That's the first vote.
So then now we're discussing what's going on, what has happened and all, then we will vote on the variance, but yeah, it's,
That's okay.
I
But
think
will
we
say
could
that
get
it is
that
now
straightened out
below what
sometime.
has been,
excuse me?
it's now below what has been recommended.
The building height is,
No, the
No,
gamut as well.
the footprint that it's using exceeds the allowed.
Yeah, that's another part.
That's what
understand
this application is addressing,
Right.
is because it's,
Right.
but thank you for questioning.
Okay, do we have any other comments or questions?
I'd just like to say that, no matter what the size of the building, she's still gonna be looking at my garage when she looks out her window. I can't help that. Her house was a garage. That was my dad's garage that we converted into a house. And it sits totally level with the road. It has no setback. So it doesn't raise the elevation of it all from the road. I can't help that. I need a garage. What I proposed is, well, within reason. If you look at my neighbor Chad's garage, I mean, it has a much higher pitched roof. I'm sure it's at least as high as what mine will be when we make these alterations. And there's plenty of other garages on the street that I could say the same thing about. So, I don't know what to say other than, I have every right to have a garage on my property, and that's the only place I can put it. I have nowhere else to build it. It's already been built. And, it was largely the fault of the former code officer that this whole thing happened. Because had they told me from day one, well, no, you ought to alter your plans, you got to do it this way, I would have complied with whatever they said I had to do. But they did not. They totally they totally did not do their job. Let's put it that way. And somehow I'm being, penalized for it. And like Diane said, we've already, not only am I going to have to absorb the cost of rebuilding it, it would have cost me less to build it smaller to begin with. And on top of legal fees and the paying for the survey and everything else, I think, what I'm proposing is more than fair. And, what else can I say? It is what
Thank
it
you.
is. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the input and unfortunately, all this, it's water under the bridge and we have to deal with what we have here in front of us tonight. Decisions have been made by a court other than us. And here we will deal with what we have here in front of us, being the variance for the coverage of the lot. And we will be adding several stipulations that will have to be met and a timeline to meet these stipulations.
I did want to make one correction.
Go right ahead,
I
please.
know Chris had mentioned 14 feet. It's actually, so looking at the truss plans, the height of the truss is 3'5" and 5/16 of an inch. So the overall height would be 13 feet 5 and 5/16, not 14.
And sheeting, ridge cap,
What's that?
and sheeting and a ridge cap.
Yeah.
The only thing I just want to add, Tony keeps mentioning paying for storage units. I moved off this hill up here in 2005, and I've been paying for a storage unit ever since then.
We all seem to have a tendency to keep a lot more than we need.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I agree. I agree.
But I mean, it's the cost I've been carrying for almost 20 years now myself, so.
Right.
Well, I think his point in even bringing it up is that had he been able to complete this garage, he would not have to be incurring that expense. So I
No,
think
it-
that's the reason he brought it up. We understand in general, people have storage.
When he made the decision to put the existing house up for sale and remodel across the street, move across the street,
Mhm.
he mentioned building a garage.
Right.
No issue with that at all. Did not expect it to be a monstrosity.
Yeah, I would
You
like
know,
to point out,
expected it to be a garage similar to mine, similar to Jim's. Even if it was a double wide one like Chad on the other side that is on Christie's side of the road, but he's got his house on. We just anticipated something like that, not
Okay.
what got built.
our decisions on the board have to be made assuming that everyone involved will sell their property tomorrow and that these buildings will be left to affect the future people.
Exactly.
None of that matters.
Well, yeah,
You know,
I get an
just-
impact on her
It
being able to
does.
sell her place.
Well, you know, you guys could have walked across the street at any point.
And that's even at this point, I'm
That's-
sorry,
that's-
but that's
that's
totally,
So
it's
I-
over.
Okay, okay.
Right.
I think, I
I,
think,
I just gotta add one more thing. I mean, I've reduced it as much as I can. If I have to reduce the height of the sidewalls, it's gonna mean pretty much tearing down the building. That's a fact, okay? It's a fact.
okay, is that, go right ahead.
When we vote on this, are we voting first to accept or deny the square footage variance? And then are we talking about stipulations?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because if,
They're separate.
There's two, correct.
We're
right,
voting
because
first.
if it's denied, then there has to be stipulations.
Correct.
Or it has to be taken down. If it's accepted, then there has to be.
Right.
Okay, stipulations.
Okay, anybody else have anything that they want to add? Right, then we will close the public portion of the meeting. And I want to go over this with you, Joe, make sure I'm right. We are looking at number one, a request for a variance for the percentage of coverage of the lot.
Correct.
If we agree that it's okay, we will accept that, then we make stipulations on time frame and such to be finished for the construction to be finished. Is that correct?
It's not the time frame. You're making stipulations about the structure itself, the height.
But we can't put a time frame in it?
You certainly can,
we
but
can-
what is gonna satisfy the judgment is gonna be the height restriction.
We have to on height. We may on timeline.
Correct.
All
That's a
right,
better way to put
That's,
it, yes.
that's, okay. Okay. Well. I guess we can take a vote on this. This has been a real test of my brain, I guess you could say. The 5 items that we have to deal with for this variance. Whether the benefit can be achieved by other means feasible to the applicant. I think there's been a lot of time and effort and such spent trying to see if there's something else we could do with this, or the owner could do with it. Whether an undesirable change in the neighborhood character or to nearby properties. Because of the way the rules are for the Lake District, it says that views are not to be obstructed. They are very important down in the Lake Shore District. Whether the request is substantial, I don't think so. Whether the request will have adverse physical or environmental effects, no, and whether the alleged difficulty is self-created. Okay. anytime you go against the laws, it's yeah, it's self-created. So
Well,
I'm
we-
in-
We had a permit though, so we didn't deliberately do that. I just want to say that.
I understand that, ma'am. I was here from the beginning. So, I am in favor of the, granting the variant for the lot.
You're joking.
Whether benefit can be achieved by other means feasible to applicant. It's been reviewed and there probably are other means, however, would indicate taking the building down. Undesirable change in the neighborhood character or to nearby properties. Yes, there is an impact. However, it's conflicted by some of the neighbors accepting and finding the structure acceptable and others not, so there's a conflict there. Whether request is substantial, the request to adjust 1.5% or for property use beyond the 30% maximum lot coverage, that's not substantial in and of itself. Whether request will have adverse physical or environmental effects, environmental theoretically no, physical no. But there will be adverse results. And whether the alleged difficulty is self-created. Again, similar to the change in the neighborhood character, in some ways it is self-created, in others it was incorrectly perhaps approved. Going with the facts and just strictly the facts and the data, the fact that this is a slight change in lot coverage.
We're also planning on tearing down that small shed, so that's. I don't know.
I would accept extending lot coverage. Jesse, yeah.
Thank you.
Whether benefit can be achieved by other means feasible to the applicant. In this case, I do believe it could be. Undesirable change in the neighborhood character or to nearby properties. Any change to your neighbor's house usually is undesirable when they're building a building. Nobody wants to look at the neighbor's building. Whether request is substantial, no, it is not. Whether request will have adverse physical or environmental effects, no more than every other building built near the lake, so no. And whether the alleged difficulty is self-created. In this instance, I don't believe it was completely self-created, no. And I vote in favor of the lot size coverage variance.
Okay. Now, as far as, stipulations,
I do want to put on the record that I understand where you're coming from when you're saying the original height of the building was correct, but unfortunately, when you're starting any construction, you always start from grade plane. So adding fill to an area should be and will from this point on be considered as part of the height of the building because if I wanted to see all the lake over on Lukenbach Hill, I would just bring in, 300,000 tons of dirt and bring my house up that high, but there's rules against it. So I want to make note that the height as it is now will be within the Lakeshore District Code, which is a town code.
So we're talking the actual building height,
Yes, the actual building height, which would be to the peak,
okay?
14 foot.
And we're talking 14 feet.
that's from grade plane now, but even if you add the fill dirt height, it still would be in compliance with the town code.
Right, so what he's saying is if you went in the back of the building where there's the most fill and you dropped the line from the peak right down to the dirt, or they brought in fill to build the barn, it would still be within. Is that true?
Correct. Yes, that it'll still be within the rules for the Lakeshore District.
Okay, so in other words, we make a stipulation that it will not exceed 14 feet
You,
to the peak
From point of
from,
grade or
no, it would be from the point of, right now would be fill to the peak would be 14 feet.
okay, and is that what was requested?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes,
Okay, so,
As it would sit, the upper header wrap, so to speak, on top of the pole would not be moving. And a 312 truss would be set directly on top of them and the building finished as required to finish the building.
Yeah.
And that is within, even including the extra, say, 3 to 4 feet, whatever the fill is. Including that number, that is within what typically is allowed in the Lakeshore District.
correct. Yes.
Well, then I say we have to leave it.
okay. So we're agreed that the way it is presented here.
Yeah.
We agree with this.
I do.
Carol?
Mhm.
Okay. Now. The second story is still on. It has not been taken off.
Correct.
That's correct. Okay.
It's still a gamble building at the moment,
Correct.
Okay, so
as we saw it a year ago.
we're looking at, March is iffy. April,
I think we should put a timeline on it.
that's, I'm thinking 120 days. Is that,
What's a normal building permit open for barn?
12 months.
We've already had
Say-
a guy out to try and look at a plan, so we want it done as quickly as well.
well, I'm just thinking, weather-wise in Canada. We get some interesting days and I want to make sure that, it's a fair estimate.
Right, the timeline needs to be set up to make sure you do it, but not impose unnecessary rush.
Should we dictate when it starts?
I wouldn't, just because contractor schedules are crazy. And I'm not suggesting putting a time frame on it,
Okay,
just because the regular state code suggests that we have a time frame. So our township adopted the state code and our time frame is 12 months.
When did you accept a building permit?
I haven't,
You haven't.
I haven't accepted a building permit yet.
Because we
Right,
have to do this first, right?
right.
So I assume that would happen fairly soon. So there's really no way it can drag out more than a year from now.
Right, and if it does, they have to renew it, and during the renewal process, it pretty much starts over. So if code, like the code cycle is supposed to change in 2025, if codes change, then they would have to change plans to the code.
Is it possible to consider setting a time frame for a return and update on the progress? Is that an appropriate stipulation?
I would be more in agreement to that than actually setting a time.
well, that bothers me a little bit that we're getting more involved and, I mean, this has gone on a long time
Right,
and,
Just figure out how to ramp this up.
excuse me?
We need to figure out how to wrap this up.
That and for the owners too, I mean, I think perhaps they could speak with you, but having a meeting with us as a board, I cannot see any. I don't think that's worthwhile.
Yeah.
I think perhaps maybe within 6 months, if they come to you and say, okay, we've gotten this far, whatever, that might be feasible, but as far as bringing us all together and all that, I don't see that part.
I think I'd like to put a timeline on it, that it's gotta be totally done within at least a year.
All right, I'll agree to that.
Yeah,
It's
and it
something weird
supports what,
happens, it's
Right.
really
what the
drag out
state
more.
is.
Okay.
Okay, time frame 1 year from issuance of the permit. Is that how it's normally done?
Yes, and as of now, that they have the application in, but I denied it. But now because there's a variance,
Now you can.
I can accept it on Wednesday.
Okay. Okay, well. Nobody got any questions?
No, I'll say that I know his intention is to get it done as quickly as possible, and the 12 months seems fair and in line with your current policy. But I'm sure it won't take less than that, so that.
Well, and like I said, it is not unusual in Canada in March to have 3 or 4 foot of snow. And you're not,
May.
right, I picked up a snowball in June several years ago, so it's like I said, to be fair. So you folks have your request, and good luck to you. Get started whenever you can, and we wish you the best. And Mr. Castronova, good luck with your help.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're
Then I do want to say something. I think that it is good what he was saying, that there's gonna be additional parameters set up to avoid something like this in the future, because it was, everything settled, that's great, but to prevent this from happening to future homeowners and property owners, spending thousands of dollars and it just goes down the drain doesn't seem fair. So I do think it's good to put some cover, whatever, rules, site visits, whatever it is, and also making the homeowners aware as soon as there's an issue.
sure.
Because he was not aware, but as soon as they had an issue with it, which is fair, and they brought it to the attention of you all, that should have made my father aware of the issue, because that was when the trusses were just going up. So had he been aware.
This is your dad?
This is my father.
Oh,
Yeah, so had
Okay.
he been aware when the trusses were going up, when they first started it.
sure.
And she has an issue, hey, let's stop the work order, there's an issue, and then the guys just stop. And then we've sorted out, and now he's not out quite as much money as he would have been, so.
Well,
making it
like
aware
they
makes
say,
it strong.
hindsight is 20/20.
Exactly.
It
Well, this
works
is a good
in
learning
more than
experience.
just, everyday life. And I agree.
Yeah.
There is work that needs to be done,
Yeah,
and
because it was a
I'm
great
sure
hardship.
it will be.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Good night.
welcome.
Thank you. Can you all just sign in? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And,
Don't
okay,
forget your purse.
No, I won't, I'm just gonna sign quick, thank you.
Mr. Brian Cindy Gordon. Hello, Mr. Gordon. You've been familiar. You've been here before, haven't you?
Some years ago with Bob Best.
Oh,
yeah.
That
yeah.
must have been a minute.
That's.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Adrian?
Yeah.
Where?
Would you like to come up here and sit? Or are you more comfortable there, or, because I'll be asking you some questions.
Yeah, sure.
That's the hot seat needed.
Go ahead.
That's quite.
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
that's good.
Okay,
Now, you have a house at 5701 Sunset Drive. And you want to replace the garage, is that what I understand? What calls it gonna be? I'm sorry.
How tall is it gonna be?
Yeah. 11 feet by 20 feet in the 3 foot space between the garage and the house. And I want to fill it in, attach it to the house.
That's right, okay. Now, this year round.
Second floor.
Okay, so. Problem is that. It does not meet the existing footprint.
Nope, and it's within the so he's asking, yes, it's Honey Lakeshore
Yeah,
District, and
Sunset
he's at 9. So he'll be at 9 feet from the property line,
Right, and it's supposed to be 10.
right?
And it's supposed to be
However,
10 feet.
And it's supposed to be 10.
What is it currently?
What's that?
What is it right now where the garage is?
9.
And it's staying at 9.
Well, the problem is the lot line is the middle of the creek.
Yeah.
If you look at the map I provided, the lot line is the middle of the creek, which varies from
Jesse.
here to here. And the garage has been there for 80 years.
So, right, the garage was built before the zoning laws. And because he's not building in the exact same footprint, then we have to get a variance for that 3 foot.
Right,
To extend it, to be able to attach it to the house.
yep.
That's the sole purpose of the variance is because you want to move it enough, extend it enough to attach to the house. If you weren't attaching to the house,
There would be
we
no
wouldn't
variance.
be here.
Correct. Yes.
Whatever he said.
I'll leave that.
Yeah, because you're adding on just enough square foot in order to attach to the house, it takes it beyond the code.
He's not moving any closer to the lot line, he's moving
Right.
closer to the house.
Yeah, just
Parallel.
That house. This is
Parallel move.
grandmother Somerville, which I have lived in.
Mhm.
We built a house, it was a cottage, it was sitting on the block.
Basically the same variance that
Good old days.
Yes, good old days.
house footprint close to the road didn't
Okay.
change, but it went wider.
All right, shall we? Has everybody had a chance to go over this?
Mhm.
All right,
Does anybody have any questions for me about the build?
well, I just want to see if we deem the
Right, do
application
we have everything
except
we need?
as,
Yeah.
yeah, complete. Make a
Has
motion,
it been dated?
I make a motion to accept the application is complete.
okay,
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now, we will go into the application a little bit deeper. We're only talking a foot here.
Correct.
Well, a foot for 3 foot of building.
Correct.
1 foot variance over 3 foot of building.
Correct. How close is your, nearest neighbor? The way I'm looking at it here, you look like you're in the middle of here.
You want
To the north, which is sure. Yeah, I can show you.
there's a bigger.
Okay, good, I'm seeing it here, that it looks like,
This is. This is my house.
Okay.
Garage, you can see from the 3 foot space.
okay,
This is my next door neighbor, Ruth Sherberg, to the north.
okay,
Fred Wolf's house. Is, well, that's not it. Fred's Wolf house, there's an open lot, there used to be another cottage right here.
okay,
That lot, he bought Fred Wolf. He bought that lot, tore down the house, and so now I have an empty lot there. In Fred's Wolf house. So,
okay, so here's the lake. This is not, no, okay, okay, I'll get that variance, okay,
this is the lake,
yeah,
Sherberger Creek runs right here. But this is a lot line going right up the creek.
Any issue, with the creek approaching on the building, the creek is reasonable amount of ground between the house and the shed and the creek right now? Not
Well,
falling
it's been there
into
for
the
80 years, just, that's all I can say. And there's no foundation on it. What we did, you know, you don't want to tear it down, is they just shoveled gravel off of the beach through Portland cement that it's falling apart. It's 80 years old.
Just over time, degradation. and environmental
Predators
and-
come in there.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of winter because of snakes. You know,
I don't blame them.
It's time to end it, you know?
Okay,
So ultimately, your thought was in the course of needing the infrastructure would be, let's make it convenient to sell or future sales with part of this and attach it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
When I remodeled the existing cottage with Mr. Betts, there's a door there. I already put the door in. I just been waiting to do it. No, I haven't. Like, it's no way.
yeah. Well, I know that. Okay. Well. We're ready to make a decision.
We're asking for a 10% variance on lot setback.
Excuse me?
We're asking for a 10% variance on lot setback.
Okay. And then we're setting back from a creek.
Yep.
Yes, okay. We're not involved with the road or anything else. It's just the creek that's its own idea in the spring and. Okay. Ready? I'm ready. Okay.
Yeah.
Whether the benefit can be achieved by other means feasible to the applicant. I like the idea of attaching the garage to the house, and you don't have to go outside, and so that, I don't see a problem. Whether there's an undesirable change in the neighborhood character or nearby properties, I don't believe so. Whether the request is substantial, no. Whether it'll have adverse physical or environmental effects, I don't think so, and I hope that creek stays where it belongs, so it doesn't give you a problem.
Fighting that creek. 74.
And the bad thing is you can't touch it. DEC has to go in there. I know, I've got a creek on my property that they say,
This is flooded out the garage.
Okay, well, whether the alleged difficulty is self-created, usually everything is, but I don't believe that that's a problem, and I am in favor of the variance. Yeah.
Whether benefit can be achieved by other means feasible to applicant. Certainly if you didn't decide to attach to the house. That would be the other means. Undesirable change in neighborhood character to nearby properties, no. Whether request is substantial, no, and whether request will have adverse physical or environmental effects. Same thing, may the streams stay away, and whether alleged difficulty is self-created. Not so much that as just time and environment, and I would approve the variance.
Proceed. Benefit can be achieved by other means, not to accomplish what he really wants to do, I don't think so. Undesirable change in the neighborhood, nearby properties, no. Whether request is substantial, no. Whether request will have any adverse physical or environmental, no, and self-created, as we've kind of said before, almost everything is self-created when you're building and you're doing something, but I approve the variance.
Whether benefit can be achieved by other means feasible to the applicant, I think it could be, you could move it back and move the door or figure something out. Undesirable change in neighborhood character or to nearby properties, no, I don't believe so. Whether requested substantial, 10% is not substantial. Whether request will have adverse physical or environmental effects, I do not believe so. And whether alleged difficulty is self-created, definitely is, everything we do is. But 3 out of 5 wins, and I vote to approve the variance.
Okay. Full house. Your
That is it.
variance request is, yeah. Approved.
Thank you.
And,
All right.
get busy.
Creek don't rise.
Creek don't rise.
Oh, wait a minute, sir. Here, you want your map?
Oh, that belongs with me, actually. Sorry about that. I have a
Oh, are you Mr. Clark? Come on up. Mr.
Thanks
Clark.
for sticking with us.
This has been a long evening. Okay.
You guys are very that first of those events.
That's meeting 6 or 7. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not perfectly clear sometimes.
it's been a long road.
Wasn't fun.
National Park is
Oh,
really
wrong one.
huge.
Could have been that.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, this is you down below me. This is you.
Oh, we're out of the lake.
Oh, my right below you.
Well, I'm
Oh, we're on
up
37,
on,
okay.
I'm up on Ross Road and I look down on the stone house. That's not too far. I see Vanguard.
You're above Slocum,
So
right?
I know that, Steve is just down from us and, yeah, no, I'm up on Ross Road.
Okay.
Okay, now. Oh, is this the house that? I just heard something about it that, it was kind of confusing because of the size of the lot. And,
Well, to start off, why don't you tell us what you're trying to do?
Yeah, what's,
Sure, so the property line currently goes right through the larger of the two houses that I own. And we just wanted to come up with a way to clean that up. And so the cleanest way we found was to draw a line with this one right here. I think it's the last two.
Yep.
Yeah, different colors on it.
Yeah, there's the color one. I don't remember if I copied them color or if you copied them color. But
Looking at the survey, right?
yeah,
So the green line is proposed, the red line is the existing.
how did that?
Yeah, I see where we're at.
Preceded
the green
On
line is
lots,
the proposed.
right?
Talk about previous
This was
mistakes
a-
somewhere.
The
along the line.
same guy owns
That's
both.
you can't ever touch that house.
I don't know.
ever.
I think
Right.
They would you would
if
need
I
a variance.
recall, this
Do you want to
probably
open the door?
preceded
Oh,
any building code
Unfortunately, there are a bunch of
zoning.
Yes.
Yeah.
goods
Oh,
and
yeah,
bads
color.
Yep.
of doing this.
Oh, Mr. Bruno, okay, yes. One of our favorite people. Now I remember. Oh, my goodness. I didn't think.
Did I leave my map over there, Jesse?
Wow.
Did you? I have. No, you must not have.
You know,
That's
it's funny when you read through history, you see how things are done. You wonder, what the hell were they thinking? What the hell were they thinking? Okay, so now, why do you want to marry?
Because currently, neither of these lots are conforming,
Okay,
and this would clean up the tax assessor's map, but for me, if I want to sell these properties, this will allow me to. So, nobody wants to buy.
nobody wants to buy a property.
If the house-
Okay, now,
So War of the Roses,
What's
the
that?
War of the Roses, where they drew a line through the house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, movie. It
yeah,
a
that was a good movie.
It was a movie and
We're dating ourselves, so. Okay, so this is.
There's gonna be multiple variances.
Yeah, I have a question on size. So 6932 is currently how many acres?
These houses, I'm trying to remember. Are they, substantial dwellings?
The little one on 6932. It's like total square footage is, it's bigger than a trailer, but it's a stick build, so it's pretty big thing. And then the other one is big.
One is 3.31 acres. I'm trying to read this thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
6932
It's 3 point,
is not the one that has the lines.
no, no, it's
Right,
not.
so the other one, right,
But it-
3.031 acres,
But that will be falling below a
And they will
conforming
fall.
lot.
right.
So in one
Both will
sense,
be non-conform.
All
yeah,
right.
it'll become
You're not
non-conforming.
interested in, take either one down? No, okay. So. Okay, folks, I'm
gonna make- it's gonna make- It's basically gonna make two
application.
non-conforming lots.
Okay,
It's
of them-
basically gonna make two non-conforming
Right,
lots.
right, which-
Either one of them's gonna be
But one of
30
them
acres or
already
250 foot.
Correct.
One, right.
Yes.
Okay, so the only thing that happens with that, with cleaning it up and being a non-conforming lot, is when anybody wants to do anything in the future, they're gonna need a variance. Because it's not a pre-existing non-conforming, so it won't fall under those codes. So if it
Right.
doesn't meet the 3 acre codes with any setbacks or whatever, if they're gonna build something, they would require a variance.
Correct.
Just to make that clear, because it's gonna create two non-conforming lots.
Correct.
One of them already is non-conforming. Little-
Yeah, but that's a pre-existing, but once you change that lot line, it's not anymore.
Right, okay.
Once you change
That-
that lot line, it is not a pre-existing non-conforming anymore, because you changed the
Right.
lot line.
okay.
Right.
And the only way around it would be to tear down the one house and then it becomes.
Combine them, but yeah, I mean,
That's, right.
Get
right.
out the horses and move it.
Of the horses and. I mean, to clean that up down there, I mean, it makes sense to me. I just want, to make sure that the understanding is there that in the future, because they are now non-conforming lots, if there was gonna be any construction, it would require a variance because you'd be bound by the setbacks and stuff of a conforming lot in the rural district.
Right.
I think I understand the ask. I'm okay with the application.
I agree.
I move to accept the application.
I second,
All in favor?
yes.
Opposed? Okay.
Now I do have a question. What are the distances going to be from each house to the green new lot line? I don't see it here. I probably am missing it. Are they going to be normal distances or are they going to be,
Non-conforming.
right?
I just wanna make sure I'm not wrong. I wanna check with you guys, make sure I'm
Take
not
your
wrong about
time.
this. So this old survey by Larson and Larson, counter, this one right here.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
It is, the area is 3.031 acres.
Uh-huh.
Correct me if I'm wrong,
I
but
think that includes the whole thing.
Yeah, I think that's actually both.
It is.
Which would make them both non-conforming to start with, is that right?
because they're both less than 3 acres.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it's gonna add any.
Yeah, but the thing is, they were a pre-existing non-conforming.
Yeah, which
Okay,
does,
So there's a different set of codes for setbacks.
yeah.
Gotcha.
It's a pre-existing non-conforming has different setbacks.
Yep.
If there's gonna be any construction, now we're going to, even though they were pre-existing non-conforming, now we're just gonna make them non-conforming.
Yeah, you get away with a little more in pre-existing non-conforming. They will be non-conforming new lots.
Yeah,
So the new proposed line,
is this, one's gonna be a wedge, right?
You want a distance of road frontage
Oh.
distances, right?
I was actually looking from the new line to the buildings, the closest part. Like here. Here.
I don't have an exact for you, but
Is it,
I know the actual
lot?
distance between the two.
I
is
didn't look.
95 feet.
so it's 95 feet between them? Okay,
And we're kind of cutting it, a
so
little less
the
than half
best,
on one
the
side,
best it
yeah.
could be is 52 and a half each. What is the required side setback?
In the rural district is
Yeah.
20 feet.
It's 20 feet.
So
I'm
that's
only
not a
chuckling
problem.
because
Right,
it sounds like.
For that, it's just that they're gonna build something new in the future, anything
I just
bigger.
wondering if we were
Yeah.
creating that non-conformance.
Oops.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
we're also managing to avoid the pond, which is a plus. Nice to own a whole pond and not a half. Neighbors catching your fish.
That was one of the codes, I think, you're not supposed to split a pond up.
Yeah, well,
You know,
how big is the pond? Do you know the acreage? Is it, it's less than an acre, right?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because if it's more than an acre, there would have been a permit, a DEC permit for it, unless it's a natural, unless it's, unless,
Get involved there.
yeah. Unless it's a natural forming pond, which actually can be a lot more stringent. And I didn't see anything about that.
It looks like the current house at issue with the green line is actually going to have greater acreage.
yeah,
The
it'll be
larger
less non-conforming and the other one will be more non-conforming.
Yeah, the
There's
cancel,
such a thing.
cancel, no.
One's a wedge, the other's a triangle.
like the wedge is
Check this
to
way,
avoid
triangle.
The flag lots.
Yes.
The old geometry coming back.
So are we voting on two variances, one for 6932 and the other for 60, what is that? 6244, is that what that is?
Yes.
6944, 6932.
32, 44.
Is that correct, Linda? We're gonna vote twice, one for the non-conforming lot on 6932.
I'm still trying
Okay.
to absorb this, so hang on.
The building
I-
permit was denied minimum lot size and road frontage
Okay, that's what.
for 69,
Right, to come here, we needed to.
44.
Cause he went and talked with Ted.
Okay, that was what my arm was up.
He
This is
met,
following the planning board with
Yes.
subdivision for, okay.
absolutely.
So he's
does.
gotta do this first and then
Yes.
them, okay. Got it.
And Ted specifically asked for those variances when he reviewed his plan.
Okay,
So this is the end result, this one,
The green.
this is what?
Yeah, the green will be the end
Um,
result, yes.
I do have a question. On the plot diagram, it said, see attached, no well or septic located yet. Does that mean you haven't found it, or there is no septic or
I know that there is a septic tank in each.
Okay, you just
Where the
haven't
beach
found
field
it.
is a little more complicated.
Okay,
How old is it?
just thinking, making sure that if we don't know where it is, we're putting a new line through something.
Right, and so.
and the wells.
And the-
Between,
the well too.
but when you guys drive past this, you'll see like a large amount. Right between the two houses that kind of extends out. And you can be confident that the water's not. Going off into a beach field there.
There are separate wells and separate septics, right?
I cannot say that for sure about the well on the larger house. We've not found the well. But we also don't see anywhere where this is tapping into that well. Where the existing well for the little house is right in front of it. It's we haven't found one.
But it has water.
Um. Basically, it's still covered.
And what?
It's a bigger house.
So I just want to point out that they can approve this without the variance without knowing where the well and septic are, but the planning board is definitely gonna want to see verified well and septic positions.
Yes.
Because if those two houses share a well or share a septic, then they won't, the planning board won't approve it.
Right, so. Tell me if this is true. If we can't find a well on a big house,
Yes.
that's what I was.
Okay,
Find it out, so we may be able to find your well too.
I have a daughter that
You know
does that.
anybody?
I do. My daughter.
I would love it.
Well, she's a paramedic, and she does this on the side, it's not a professional, and nothing is guaranteed. But she's done 3 of them within the last 10 years, and they've all been.
For finding a well.
Which,
Water.
which you define the water for
You're
a
talking
well.
about finding the water for,
Yeah.
it, not finding an existing well, right?
But you might, because
Well-
it's an existing well,
It
it
has
has water,
But, you
you
know,
might be able to find the existing well.
Pressurize the inlet coming into the house and go outside and listen. Your air
We're
rushing.
thinking of putting metal through the pipe.
Pressurize it, go outside and listen. You can get an air compressor in there or something. Big leak blower.
Are you a contractor?
okay, so we need to.
Through minimum lot area. Not 3 acres.
I keep losing. Mr. Bruno was quite a character, so.
Yes, he was.
I'd expect.
Nothing less.
Anything in that house.
And we had a lot of problems with people renting those houses, and then once they moved out, filing complaints with the town and all kinds of fun things over there. Oh, yeah.
But he would have made a nice Santa Claus, kind of. That white mustache. Where? I'm sorry, how, I'm not getting it.
The back side of the page with the green line.
So we're giving a variance for the,
This is the one.
we're giving a variance for not meeting the road frontage and the minimum lot size for each lot,
correct.
and them becoming non-conforming lots.
Correct.
But like you said, he goes to planning board from here then.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right,
Because
so-
it's a it's changing a lot line,
They
so they gotta go
have-
for a minor subdivision
Right.
review there.
We just have to prove we're okay with those lots existing. They still have to prove they're okay with the line moving.
Right,
Yeah.
they just have to prove that it
Subdivision.
makes it legal.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, I have a question too. He's gonna remodel the homes. Does that mean he's gonna need a variance?
Not if he's not putting any addition on anything.
Okay,
But the footprint stays.
Yeah,
same.
the footprint stays the same, no variances are needed, so if he's doing anything, huh?
What about like
You'd have to get a building permit for the deck, but it all depends, it looks like they're gonna have setbacks are gonna make it anyways.
right.
So if you meet the setbacks for the rural district, you won't have to come here. For a deck, you might be able to meet those setbacks on a deck.
Yeah.
I guess
When
I've
in
heard
doubt,
two different
come
things
see
here,
Joe.
and I don't know which
Yes.
one's right.
He will tell you exactly how it is.
On a new non-conforming lot, so not pre-existing, do you need a permit, or do you need a variance to build something that has no setback or square footage, or there's no specific variance other than it's a permit on a lot that's not conforming?
Non-conforming,
So others,
I'm not sure. I have
otherwise,
to
like,
look.
he builds a deck and there's no setback issues,
Does he need a variance
there's
just
just
to
a
build?
variance.
No.
if he
No.
can meet the rural district setbacks,
Right.
he does not need a variance. But usually on a non-conforming lot, especially when you got one of those small ones, it's gonna be hard to do that.
Right.
But yeah, if he can meet the setbacks of that district on a non-conforming lot, he can just get a building permit approved.
Right, so the non-conforming lot doesn't really mean anything.
Well,
And
unless you're
that's
gonna
to a
take something
point.
down, if you're gonna build a whole new place or something, somebody takes it down and wants to
Yeah.
build a whole new place, which happens all over the place here.
There
Um,
isn't a lot of them in this town,
No.
non-conforming lots.
Yeah.
No, not anymore.
Not.
Not once we did the zoning. Yeah,
Yeah, that word.
I would love to
that
take,
word.
I would love to take care of this particular problem with the lot line going right through.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yes.
This makes a whole heck of a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Thankfully, there's a way to resolve it.
Yeah.
It's a huge
Yeah.
opportunity, especially
Wanna-
because both lots were purchased.
Do this one at a time then? Which lot do we want to start with?
6944, since it's listed first.
Perfect.
Okay. You ready to vote? Alright, Lynn Morris. Start down there. Start telling me, she's still thinking.
If I video this, cause I've never been to a ZBA meeting. I would love to see.
Oh, you can.
Okay, go ahead, but it'll be on our website.
It'll be on the website.
Yeah, you can wave to her.
Hi, honey.
The camera's directly behind you.
Camera's back there up on the wall. Yes, you're gonna go first. Yeah, you start with you.
So we're looking at lot 6944. Whether benefit can be achieved by other means feasible to applicant? No. Undesirable change in neighborhood character or to nearby properties, it's gonna be a lot more desirable to not have a lot line right through the middle of the house. Whether request is substantial? Yes, it is, but there's no other way to do that. Whether request will have adverse physical or environmental effects? Nope. And whether alleged difficulty is self-created?
No, that was created before.
Not by not by the current owner. And I vote for the variance on lot 6944.
You just give all the same answers that Jesse did.
Ditto.
For me, ditto, ditto,
Carol,
Yes.
ditto.
So,
Okay. Linda, same. Okay. Gotcha. All right, now from 6932. Start
Ditto.
with Jesse again?
Clear.
Doing the reading.
Sure.
Whether benefit can be achieved by other means feasible to the applicant? Don't believe so. Undesirable change in neighborhood character or to nearby properties? Quite the opposite. Whether request is substantial? Yes, it is a substantial request to make a lot smaller and go non-conforming, but there's no other way around this. Whether request will have adverse physical or environmental effects? Don't believe so. And whether alleged difficulty is self-created? Not by the applicant. I vote for the variance.
Ditto.
Carol,
agreed.
Do agree. Okay.
Okay.
You can do all the extra writing when you do the
Good luck
minutes.
to you.
Yeah. And then good luck working on the structures.
I'm gonna try that.
Cameras. They make those little right at Tractor Supply or any tool place. They have the really cheap coil cameras. You hook it to your phone. It's like 50 feet. You could put it in the water line and just
Feed it through.
yeah.
A borescope or a long borescope.
Yeah. Yeah, they're fairly inexpensive now, and that's what a contracting company will most likely do. And then if they can't find it that way, they'll just there's like I don't know, a way to pinpoint the camera. So they'll follow it with their phone, and then when it gets to the point where they think the well is, that up above the ground will show where it is. But all right.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Thank you for coming.
I might be you someday.
If you're gonna start living in this town, we need young folks. Come
Yes, we
on
do.
down.
Yeah,
Put
there's
that on your website.
there's definitely a position.
There is.
We'll catch up later about the issuance of the permits.
Okay,
All
great.
right.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You have a good night.
Watch the deer.
Yeah, right.
I had a little tag race with one that's coming down just before your house.
You don't want that. Don't want that.
Bye.
Good night. Did we have minutes?
Yep.
Oh, good lord.
Just that we all met.
Oh, that's right.
Voucher meeting and I was
Just-
absent.
On the record, so we can we address the new application.
Yes. We should talk
Oh,
about
Gary
him.
Elman.
We should talk about him.
I'd like to have an interview with him.
Yeah,
I think if we,
I was hoping he would be here.
we're in a position where we're hiring someone, they will be an employee for the town. And I think it's appropriate to allow them the opportunity to talk with us and vice versa.
I agree.
Wait a minute. Application for a new member, for an alternate.
Yes, I didn't put that in.
Oh, I was
I'm
gonna,
sorry.
okay.
Jerry
I-
Elman,
I emailed
quite
it.
a lengthy resume. he
Oh.
had.
Yes. quite a bit.
But I see
Little
one of
unnecessary.
Ed's questions, when did he, how long has he been a permanent resident of town, do you know?
I don't,
Cause I
I
seen
did-
Ed's question come back with that one.
I
how-
did invite him to the meeting tonight, he didn't respond, but I can, if you guys want, I can reach out and just tell him, you know, the next meeting we would like to.
Yeah,
Do an interview.
So
Well,
if
you know,
the
at
next meeting.
the
isn't for
opportunity to meet him
3 months.
We
we
could
want
do
to
it sooner, yeah.
We should,
Getting on board or?
No, he actually saw the, advertisement on the website,
Okay,
sent me his resume application.
okay, so you have the information about it.
Yep,
Okay.
and I can send it, you know, an email to him and say we'd like to do an official
Just come in and meet him.
interview and come and do a meeting next month. Now, if we do that, that would imply we're gonna have a meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
But we're all.
Oh, true.
And I believe Ed will be here. So
I think it will be.
the one thing, just looking at this, that, and this is something that I've done for years when, and interviews and stuff, is the last number of years, he was only at each place like a year or two, and then a year or two, and then a year, or two, and that bothers me. Of course,
or?
yeah,
which
employment,
is,
employment,
having him come in would be,
yeah. Employment was, you know, pretty sporadic, and I don't know if maybe it was just, and, you know, obviously we can't ask age and talk about, and I don't know if it's just because he, you know, was at the point where he, you know, was
he could have,
at that transition where he wasn't really officially retired, but, you know, his long term was at Kodak. And, you know, Kodak downsizing and such as they are, then everything after that seemed to be hop, skipping and jumping, and that's.
Can I make a suggestion? Can we adjourn the meeting and then,
Why, certainly.
okay, I'll take a, yeah. Make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9 PM.
Move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, adjourn.